Ballots are in the mail, and there is still no clear frontrunner in the race for Denver mayor. It is crowded field. We've got 17 candidates.
And 11 of those candidates debated tonight at the McAuliffe International School in Park Hill. Kyle Clark is there tonight as breaking down the debate stage.
Yeah, Alex, I think perhaps Denver voters might be under the misperception that when this race goes suddenly from 17 candidates to just 2 candidates in a runoff, that there's going to be a big ideological difference between the 2 people in the race. What we saw tonight is that there's a progressive lane, there's kind of a centrist Democrat lane, and then there's a more center-right, more conservative lane. It's entirely possible that this is going to be decided by the time we get to the runoff, that one governing philosophy will be all that Denver voters have to choose from, unless they want to choose to participate in the first round of voting. I want to bring in my co-moderator, Marshall Zelinger. What we also heard tonight is that candidates don't just disagree about the issues. There are folks up there who think that their opponents are suggesting things that are illegal, immoral, and dangerous.
They agreed on the disagreement, and a lot of this dealt with the issue of homelessness and the topic that came up in next with Kyle Clark's interview with Trinidad Rodriguez. He took exception with several candidates who were using a certain term about his plan to round up people who are experiencing homelessness, put them in a camp that they're not allowed to leave from, and it was the term. Well, here's the term.
This is not an internment camp. This is a place where we can provide the standard of care for healing for people who are suffering and dying on our streets today. And it is the right thing to do.
This is why people with a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous. There's a reason why we have a separation of branches. The judiciary, the executive, and the legislative. Judges determine involuntary commitment, not the executive branch. There is a process for taking away people's constitutional rights and human rights.
That's Lisa Calderon, one of the candidates who got into the back and forth with Trinidad Rodriguez on that topic. There was a separate issue dealing with homelessness between 2 candidates, Mike Johnston and Kelly Brough, over solutions. Mike Johnston says he can solve homelessness in 4 years, and Kelly Brough explained why that's not going to happen.
We know we have to give people access to actual housing. That has to be housing we can build quickly and that provides safety and stability and dignity. That's why what I've proposed are micro communities where you can build tiny homes, 40 or 50 tiny homes. People can have access to safe, stable care.
I think one of the challenges is I don't think it's as simple as micro units. I think we're talking about people who need serious support from a mental health perspective and an addiction perspective. And I think this is where we have to focus our resources as a region to build the kind of facilities we need long term.
Given the current unpopularity of Mayor Michael Hancock, nobody is really running as a continuation of the Hancock administration, but there are certainly people on the stage that have deep experience in governing Denver. I mean, Debbie Ortega on City Council for 28 years now, and a lot of her ideas about public safety in particular seem to be recycled from what we are already doing. She did say that she thinks that we need another Denver Metro Crime Task Force. I asked her whether that was the solution, given that we have metro area task forces for auto theft and for drugs and for meth and for fentanyl and for violent criminals.
I think it's pulling those resources together in a more comprehensive way, so we're having greater impact in addressing these issues.
And I want to mention, I was actually on the meth task force and when I worked in the Ritter administration, and what I will say is that we did not decrease meth use in the state, and it was pretty much a PR thing that happened with that task force.
One thing that became immensely clear in tonight's debate is who the other candidates perceive as the front runner, which was a real question because polls have been here and there. Nobody's had a real clear lead. But when we gave the candidates the opportunity to question one another, most of them turned their fire on Mike Johnston, which is the clear sign of anything that they think that Mike Johnston is likely leading this big field.
I will say, besides Mike Johnston, we heard from people we hadn't heard from before. Al Gardner wasn't part of our first debate. We heard from him tonight, and he had some refreshing answers that weren't specific. Refreshing, I mean, with I don't know. I don't have the answer. Clearly, it hasn't been solved. Homelessness and other issues hasn't been solved by people before me. I don't know. The question is, does I don't know resonate with people at home? Can they be like, oh, he's being honest about it, versus maybe other people who have grandiose ideas? I don't know if they can get it done. I don't know versus the clear front runner from the other candidates that are pinpointing Mike Johnston on specific questions because apparently they believe he's the one that they have to be afraid of.
So there you go, Kim and Alex. We've got 4 hours on the debate stage with these folks, countless hours of in-depth interviews with them. and we could do it again tomorrow night. We will not do it again tomorrow night, but we could do it again tomorrow night because there's a lot to cover and there's a lot of viewpoints in the race.
I know you really needed all that time to really get to know the candidates and even tonight it was a real deep dive on some of these issues. And with all the other interviews, no voter should go in feeling like they don't know where they stand on issues.
Yeah, and again, this is the opportunity for people to participate in winnowing the field from 17 to 2, because again, it's not a presidential primary. They're not going to drop off one by one. 15 of them are going to be gone in a flash as of April 4th when people vote. So if you want to have a say in what your final two choices are, now's the time if you live in Denver.
Because then there will be 2. Okay.
Yep, before you know it.
Thanks to the 2 of you.